Well, we got a lot to talk about, man. I'm just gonna start there. Nebraska wins by touchdown in what was a wild game, which we're used to by now, but for many different reasons. I was in a few Twitter spats there towards the end of it, because nuance matters. And well, Brian, first off, how you feeling, man? How you doing today?
I'm good. I'm pretty exhausted, but that has nothing to do with this game. But this was a frustrating game, I think, towards the middle part of it for me. Nebraska had a 2-score lead again and blew it, and that just kind of seems to be a theme over the last month and a half of the season.
You know, I hate to be the guy to bring up the officiating, but I'm going to be that guy today, and that's what Twitter does not, or some of the tweets that I was in the Twitter spats with don't like. But I think multiple things can be true at one time, and I think a lot of times we're void of nuance in these things, and so we're going to dive into that a little bit today. We're going to dive into some of the good, the bad, the ugly. But let's just start with just first off, shout out to Kenneth Williams, because
oh man,
how important is that kick return for a touchdown now?
Quite literally is the difference.
The game.
In the game.
It's the game.
Yeah.
And that momentum coming out of the half was super needed, because that's what we didn't have last week. We weren't able to find a spark last week out of the half. And I tweeted mid-game, going into halftime, that I felt much better about this game going into the half. And I feel like, rightfully so. I feel like a lot of the things that we invested in the first half, offensively, in the play calling, we were very close to a lot of, opportunities in the first half. And I know close doesn't matter if you don't get in the end zone, but a lot of things we invested in the first half were able to allow us to be successful in the second half. That's what I thought might happen. Mm-hmm. And we saw a lot of that pay off in the last drive, especially. I do want to give credit where it's due. Dylan, shout out to him for responding after the interception, coming down to the field and picking up some big third down plays, and being able to get it in the end zone to win there at the end of the game. But, I liked the investment in the run game early on. I do understand some people think we just run the ball all the time. When we started to pass and didn't have a ton of success, everybody's like, run the ball with Emmett. We got to mix it up a little bit. And then that's kind of what started to pay off a little bit in the second half, and Nebraska started to pull away from the game. But I think the big part of it that I want to point out is Northwestern, I don't think, is in that game without the officiating. I'm sorry, and I'm not one to blame.
They gave them 2 scores, right?
I'm not one to blame the officials, but we got to call it what it is. Here, let's just start in the first half. Okay, first half. How did you feel about that?
It felt very actually similar to USC last year, in the sense where, like, you liked what you're seeing, you just weren't seeing a finished product or like the total end result. Like, between the 20s looked very good. Inside the 20s was rough. I personally didn't like the red zone offense. Again, seems to be an issue. Now, granted, I think it was the first possession, right, where they started with a RPO fade, and they ran it, and then they ran it again and scored a touchdown like 2 plays later. But I don't understand why they keep running these RPO fades in the red zone, unless it's to Isaiah Hunter, because apparently he's the only one that can catch them.
Well, what are you going to give Dane? What is Dane Key supposed to do? Have Inspector Gadget extendo arms and be able to go out and catch a ball 30 yards past him? So he's not. Dane Key's not even getting an opportunity to catch the ball when they're throwing fades to him. So what do you mean?
Yeah,
Isaiah?
That was a penalty in of itself.
Not when Dane Key gets a fade route towards the end zone, they're throwing 30 yards over his head.
But overall, the first half, I thought it looked good. You just kind of were hoping for more. They 2 red zone opportunities squandered, but it was like you felt a lot different than you did last week with the exact same score, minus it was flipped.
Yeah,
but it felt better, looked better.
You were getting the ball out of his hands quickly. You're moving the pocket. You were running the ball up the middle. You were doing things to confuse Northwestern's defense, and that's
Mhm.
what we wanted to see. We wanted to see them come out with some kind of a game plan to move those defenders around the field, make them cover grass, and try to be able to throw some, open up those windows for Dylan to be able to make some quick throws. We saw that early on. One thing I will say about the defense is we talked about how we wanted this defense to come and stack the box, play physical, and I think they did that, especially in the first half. Minus, a couple of big plays. There in the first half, the biggest play was that one deep pass down the left side of the field, which, I mean, that's a good throw and catch. You get beat. He got beat by a step on that, but overall, you did what you needed to do because Northwestern doesn't have really an explosive offense. So what you did was you needed to just rally the football, keep everything in front of you, stop the run, and we did that. And it was a really good thing that we were able to do that. I mean, up in the first half, especially. They had that big run there in the second half, but that's what happens when everybody kind of gets sucked in, and then the ball goes to the outside, and nobody is there on their contain. So somebody lost their responsibility there. So that goes into some of the execution things, which we will get into, because I'm going to sit here and I'm going to say the offensive play call in the first half, I really liked the play calling. The execution was lacking in a lot of areas. And so two things can be true. In the first half, a lot of people were melting down because the scoreboard was what it was. We had 7 points on the board. But again, I think that is an offensive game plan that we can build from. And that's kind of what I wanted to see. Are you in agreement with that?
Yeah, I 100% agree. I was just reading through some notes too. I was keeping tallies and I forgot to keep track towards the end of the game, but it was like we were talking about yesterday stacking the box, and so I made a barometer of what I considered stacking the box, and I basically considered 5 or more was kind of stacking the box. And Nebraska had 5 or more in the first half on probably 65% of obvious rushing downs. And then the other thing we talked about yesterday too was their quarterback's not a great thrower to the boundaries.
Yep.
And if they beat you doing that,
so be it.
Kudos to them. And I will give their quarterback credit. He did hit a couple tough throws to the boundary. In fact, almost all of his throws today completed were to the boundary.
Some incredible
because
catches
the middle of the field was completely covered. That was Nebraska's focal point. Cover the middle. Don't let them get anything in the middle.
Yeah, and some incredible catches too, which tends to happen against us. Some guys make some incredible throws and catches against us when they normally wouldn't, especially there on that last drive.
That back shoulder
throw. Come on, man! And the way he just got his hands out there and was able to extend and make that catch, it just seems like that happens against us a lot. However, I do want to say, in the face of adversity, credit to this team for responding and coming out and winning the game, because it's much easier to point at the officiating in a win versus a loss.
Yeah.
Because I talked about that, with Alibaba, the Minnesota guy we talked to the week prior, because he was talking about the officiating against Purdue. When you come out of a win, you're talking about it. It's to me, there's something to be said about it. But I feel like I have to bring it up just because the middle of this game, I don't think, I think Nebraska wins this game by multiple scores, if not for these calls. And I think the biggest thing is when I posted about the officiating right before the Raiola interception, and then everybody's confirmation bias was, well, Raiola just threw an interception. Well, that again is void of all nuance. It's a void of all nuance of the officiating is still a problem. We can agree that was a terrible throw, right? But at the same time, we're not in that situation potentially without that. And so we can still say Raiola that was a terrible throw, terrible read, which we know he makes those a lot of boneheaded throws, a lot of boneheaded reads sometimes. But it's true to agree. Every team mistakes, misassignments, turnovers. But it was the timing of these calls. It's not just about whether a call's right or wrong in isolation. It's when it happens, and what it does to the momentum and the situation of the game. So, a flag on a third down stop late in the fourth quarter can completely swing the game's outcome, as we know, even if both teams make mistakes earlier. Timing kind of is everything on this. So you can acknowledge that your team did not play perfectly. Maybe there were, turnover or some red zone issues, and still recognize the officiating decisions, like at key moments, directly altered the game script. There's situations where we may not have been throwing that pass there had those calls not led to a pass in that situation. Maybe a drive that should have ended with a punt turns to points. Maybe a touchdown gets called back, something marginal. Northwestern directly wouldn't have got 7 points. We know that for a fact without one of those calls. Those moments change field position, strategy, and the entire rhythm of the game. And I think that's what people don't understand. Game script happens because of some of these calls. So it's not about deflecting blame, right? It's about kind of understanding the full picture and the scope where execution matters, but officiating absolutely can dictate whether execution errors end up costing you, whether you still have control of the game. Tonight, it just felt like one of those games where we had our own mistakes. Yes, sure. But the timing of some of those calls absolutely kept this game alive when it potentially should have been over. And that is the problem that I have.
The big one obviously was the big one was obviously the fourth down that wasn't a first down. Okay. That call, I think he had possession, yes, but it was obviously short of first down. Are you in agreement with that?
It was short of a first down because I don't think he got full possession until he was behind the marker. That's what it was.
Exactly.
He didn't get the catch secured until he was behind the marker.
On the ground, actually.
Had he caught it and then been knocked backwards, it's a totally different story. But he was bobbling that ball until he went to the ground. And when he was on the ground, he was a yard short of the marker.
Yeah. So then they scored 2 plays later. Instead of it being Nebraska ball, having a 21-6 lead with relatively good field position, if I recall correctly, coming off a drive in which you just drove down the field with ease to go up 21-6.
Yes.
So you have all the momentum, and that is the example I have for what you were talking about when it completely changes the game script, because then after they scored, Nebraska gave them the ball back. They go down and score, tie it up again, in which that drive also had screwed up calls. This game would have gotten out of hand pretty quickly, actually, had that original call not been screwed up.
Yeah, and the pass interference call, like on a drive that they ended up scoring on that run play, there was a pass interference a little bit before they broke that long run. That was not a pass interference. I'm sorry. Like,
or the receiver was pushing Andrew.
Yes, those plays matter, and so for us to say, they don't, like, or for us to say, like, well, let's not blame the officiator, we're not executing. Like, two things can be true, and that is the most frustrating part about this. And like the same people saying don't blame the officiator, it's the same people melting down in the first half saying, we're going to lose this game, all this other stuff, calling Northwestern a bad team, which is another thing to me. It's just like,
they're not. They were one of the best defenses in the country.
They're a top 25, top 30 defense. So yeah, but shout out to this team for, through that, be able to come out and letting us be able to talk about a win, no matter what. And, Dylan, I've talked about this before, and we may feel how we feel about some of his throws. Trust me, I do. But he does have a short memory. And when he sometimes needs to lock it in, man, he can lock it in. And there were some questionable, some questionable decisions and execution on, why are our routes not getting deep enough just to get to the first down marker?
That was my big note, actually.
Yeah, go ahead and talk about it.
Well, on 3 separate occasions, they had third down, and they actually ran the exact same route concept. It was to Danke, Ja'Cory twice. And this was in the first half, I believe. Maybe one of them was in the second half. And it basically quick out.
I think one of the Danke ones was in the second half.
Yeah. So it's basically a quick out with a clear out from the outside receiver, essentially. Mm-hmm. And they're running it short of the stick. So they're catching it short and they have to go make a play. And I don't know if it's a coaching thing where they're not getting taught that you need to get the depth on the first down, which I think is like a football 101 as a wide
Yeah.
receiver or any football player, or if they're just cutting it short because they're whatever reason they're anxious about, like it's a big play, obviously, or whatever. But then they also ran it on the game-winning drive. They ran that exact same concept 3 times, and those times they went past the sticks and they converted first downs.
Correct.
3 of the 4 third downs they converted were all quick outs to the boundaries. And so I don't, that was my big frustration, though. That was a constant issue early, was they were running these short routes. I didn't understand why.
Here's one thing. You know, I understand why, maybe. But I feel like on on these short yard situations, sometimes in the first half, I felt like we probably should have gone for it and we didn't. You know, I think there was opportunities there to go for it and we did. But then at the same time, the second half, when we did go for some short yardage situations, like I liked our play calling for the most part up until those short yard situations, where I think it's pretty obvious that you just got to get the ball in your best player's hand, and that's Emmett right now.
Mm-hmm.
And enough with the Heinrich Harburg sneaks,
It's my other note.
Yeah, enough with kind of some of these, a lot of these, the little rollout pass with Raiola. And Raiola would have got the first down. You got to protect the football. But still, I think a lot of teams that you see, whenever we go against a team and their running back is their strength, do they ever feel like they need to get cute with the play calling? Because I don't feel like they do. I feel like they just go directly to what they know, and they're like, we're going to run our best player full speed at you, stop him. Because when Emmett did that in the first half, he found a way to get that first down. That play was blown up, and that man found a way to get that first down. I'm sorry. Put that ball in his hands every short yard situation, because he finds a way, no matter what happens with the play, he finds a way to get yards. But another thing, he does not turn the ball over. If he doesn't get it, he's not going to get it, but he's not going to give the ball away. And to me, that matters. Short yardage situations, in a lot of instances, I think Raiola tries to do too much and ends up giving the ball away.
Like the 4th and 1 where he fumbled.
Like that run. Yeah.
Which to me, that was like, I thought it was pretty obvious that's what their goal was. Like that play, I feel like they lined up and I go, this is going to be a play action roll out to the strong side.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like everyone else, if I know it, everyone else knows it.
Yes.
Right.
Because you got to come out and make it look similar to what you were doing before. But when you're lining Dylan up in the backfield and running the ball, and then you have him at a quarterback, well, and that's the thing too, is you got to disguise a little bit better. But I just don't think there's any secret right now who's the best player on this team, and it's Emmett Johnson. In any short yardage situations, I think we need to have the confidence to just be able to put the ball in his hands, give him a full head of steam, because even if that play's blown up, we've seen him be able to find creases, find spaces better than anybody that we've had in a long time.
He gets skinny really well, but also like his ability to just change direction, left, right, back, whatever. It honestly is mind-blowing to me. There was instances today where I tweeted it a few times where he's making a bad offensive line look good. And that is what we call an eraser, someone who can make mistakes go away because of how damn good they are. Because he had to fight. I would love to see a stat, and I don't know where it is, but it's got to be somewhere, where he is making a man miss like how many yards plus or minus at the line of scrimmage, making his first cut or his first move. And I bet you today that would be like a -1.5, basically meaning they're getting 1.5 yards of penetration before he makes his cut. And that should be a positive number, not a negative number.
And he can make people miss, like the way I describe it is make people miss in a phone booth. Like he is he's so quick with his feet, but his vision is incredible that he finds creases. He finds creases that open, and I see this on film every now and then, before they're there. Like he anticipates very well. So he's very good at anticipating where the hole is going to open up because his vision is just that good. And then he's always looking already to the second level, and he's ready for his next move. So he's almost getting through the line of scrimmage, breaking through a tackle, and then breaking off of the second guy already. And it's his anticipation and his ability. It's no secret. It's not just him running at the line of scrimmage and being able to get a couple yards. No, the reason why I want him on short yardage situation is because he finds hidden yards. And like, that's the biggest thing for me, is being able to find those yards that aren't there before they're there. And if they're not going to be there, he knows where to go, the pockets of where to go, to be able to give him the best opportunity to be able to get a push in that line of scrimmage. And he was incredible.
He averaged 4.6 yards per carry today.
Incredible today, which I was about to pull up.
27 for 124 for 2 touchdowns. And I think part of that remember that last run he had before the game was over, essentially, where he slid?
Yeah.
He probably could have gone for another 10 yards or so there, but just did the smart thing and got down. Game's over. We got the first down. So that average probably got skewed a little bit there.
Yep. Let me ask you a question. Do you feel like, because Dana Holgorsen loves Raiola, do you feel like part of him, to an extent, over the last few weeks, was just trying too hard to force Raiola to happen? Like,
yeah, I mean,
whereas this week, it felt like we just kind of went to the simplified, quick hitting routes and invested in the run. Like,
that's who Dylan is.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
He's not a great quarterback. He's pretty good, though. He can't hit the deep ball, in my opinion. Not very consistent.
And he's not very good at looking guys off.
Yeah. But that kid, 10, 12 yards, dynamite. So look at the stat line today. 16 for 22, 140 yards and a touchdown. What's wrong with that? If you're winning and that's what you're getting from your 5-star quarterback, then who cares? Like,
I don't care if he had 4 yards.
Yeah. I mean, your running backs today, between Emmett and Isaiah, you had 30 attempts for 132 yards.
Mm-hmm. And that's
take that all day long.
The thing about it is we lost in the yards department. I mean, but what have we been in previous years? Nebraska has been a team that's won the box score, lost the game. I don't care about being a team that loses the box score and wins the game at all. I just want to win.
I think we had less yards than Northwestern.
We did.
Yeah, they had
296.
Yeah.
We had under 300 yards of total offense. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't care what it looks like. I don't care if Dana wants to open up the field, to show stuff for future weeks or whatever, or to start investing. Win week to week. And that's all that matters. And this team just can be a grind out physical team like this. Like, I think this needs to be our identity, because we don't have a line that's good enough to be able to drop back and pass. And I don't care how good we're running the ball. We're not a good enough passing team to be able to just be a drop back passing team. I don't care how much success we start to have during the game. I don't care how much success we may have in 1 week. That doesn't mean the next week we need to turn into a drop back passing team. The offensive line isn't good enough. We've seen that. This team is not good enough to be that. What we saw this week, whether people like it or not, whether it's sexy or not, doesn't matter. This needs to be the identity. Minnesota's, Iowa's, Northwesterns, they don't care about being sexy. They don't care what it looks like. They care about winning games. And at the end of the day, it's all that matters. So if we can come out with this game plan, I think this can be something that we can build off of, because it really showed that we can kind of getting the ball out of his hands quickly and running the ball can get a lot of this pressure off of Raiola. And even without a lot of the pressure, he still made a mistake, right? He still made a mistake. However, in that last drive, there was some confidence because he hadn't been beat up the whole game. He wasn't getting beat up and beat down the whole game. So he was just playing still within the confines of the offense. I think he trusted the play calling up until that point in the game. And I think that's what, on that last drive, made him successful, because there was no panic in his eyes and he was just flowing. And whatever was there was schemed for him, and he was taking it, and it worked. and we're able to drive down the field and get the score. And I think that's just what we need to do for Dylan, is make it as easy as possible for him. Stop trying to turn him into an NFL quarterback right now. Don't worry about that. Stop trying to make him go through multiple reads, do checks and all this other stuff. Simplify this as much as possible. The less he's thinking, the more successful he's going to be.
This was a game where I think Nebraska found their identity a little bit. And we talked about that on Tuesday was, we're 2.5 years into this thing and we don't know who we are. And today, granted, this was a very similar game plan to Maryland.
Yeah.
And ironically, you probably had your most consistent performance quarter to quarter, half to half from your offense. Now, they didn't execute in the red zone very well, which has been an issue all year. But in terms of a productivity standpoint, you're almost at 7 yards per completion or per pass. You're at 4 to 5 yards per rush. Like, you will take those. You're 6 of 12 on third down. You will take those.
Yep.
Your efficiency in the passing game was through the roof. And this was the most Big Ten Nebraska has looked since joining the Big Ten.
Yeah.
In my opinion, this is your recipe. It's running the ball 30 times a game and passing it when you need to and being good at throwing it intermediate, because eventually you're going to get the upper Midwest wind vortex coming through the central parts of the United States. And it's going to be 25, 30 mile an hour winds in November. You're going to have to be able to run the football. You're going to have to be able to hit the short game, because you're not going to want to throw it deep that much when you got a 20 mile an hour wind in your face.
Yeah.
I thought this was a really good game plan.
Yeah. And I think, when Matt Rule talked about getting Dylan and why he wants a big body quarterback like that, he's like, I want a guy who's, able to throw the deep ball into the wind and all this other stuff. And I just think as a culture, I think they want that to happen too much, And I think now, I think Dana last week, I think maybe last week was a wake up call for him, and I hope so, because in that post-game press, or in that next week press conference, he had talked about, we thought we could be a team that could push the ball down the field. And again, I questioned why that was the case. And this week he just went back to basics, kind of like you talked about. This kind of looked like the offense that we saw when he first became the OC here. Very early on, where I felt like Dana, when he first came in, he was playing with nothing to lose as a play caller, the end of that season. And he just got to do what he does best. And I have lost zero trust in Dana Holgorsen as an OC. I think he's a great offensive coordinator. And like you said, I think this is a great opportunity to build from, because I think a lot of things that showed up well on film, and I could bring up my tweet at halftime, because again, there was a lot of Twitter at halftime, bro, was kind of crazy. But let me
what was it?
I said Twitter at halftime was kind of crazy with the meltdowns, but
I had to do some work for my actual job, so I was not very present at on social media at halftime, luckily.
Yeah. So and I tagged you in this tweet, but I'll pull it up. So I said the fan base is melting down. Honestly, even with the score the same, well, flipped. I feel much better going into half this week than last week. I like the game being called by Horkson, even though people will point to score and say otherwise. There's been little things I think if we continue to invest in the second half, we'll have success with. Relax, And I didn't feel great about it, but I felt good about it. And I think that finally showed, and that investment into what we were doing was, and I might be actually excited to watch this back this week as opposed to previous weeks where I really just didn't want to watch any of it back at all, because I think finally we can see some of the concepts of the first half that applied to that very last drive, especially, and some of the concepts of that first half that made a lot of those things in that last drive work. And also some of the things in the first half that made our offensive line look like, not a lot better, but anything's a lot better than what we've seen for this offensive line in previous weeks, but made our offensive line look like they could at least stop somebody, at least block somebody. I didn't see too many instances of us just getting blown up. And against Minnesota, that was pretty much on a play-by-play basis.
I'm pulling my screen up real quick.
Yeah.
you think Nebraska's listening
take
right
it.
now?
What is it? What does it say?
Gritty beats pretty.
Hey,
They
that's true.
posted that 28 seconds ago, and that's what we were just talking about.
That's true. It's true. It doesn't need to look. It doesn't need to look sexy. You just need to win.
Yeah.
And we talked about on Tuesday this was going to be a rock fight. I'd mentioned that, and then it turned exactly into that. But I think that's the kind of game Nebraska needed. The Maryland game, I was upset coming out of that game, even though we won that game, because I didn't feel, the first half was a completely different game plan than the second half. And then in Minnesota, we came out and we completely just threw all of that out that worked in the second half. And I think a lot of what we brought in this week was some of the stuff that did work in the second half of that Maryland game. And so I think that'll be interesting to look at too, because I think that second half of that Maryland game and this Northwestern game is a lot of this concepts that we're going to see moving forward. And I think against a team like a USC, we're going to have to run the ball. We're not going to be able to throw the ball against a very athletic defense like that, because Northwestern, of course, as you know, they're a good team, but we're going to go against
a lot more athletic
teams with a lot more athletes than Northwestern, and we did not look a lot more athletic than Northwestern. That part scares me.
Well, I think you're okay to feel good about this win because a win's a win and you're bowl eligible. You still saw some similar red flags.
Yes.
Red zone, there were some tackling issues
and some dumb penalties.
There were some breakdowns defensively, like on the long touchdown run. There's still some of that stuff. And that's what concerns me is we are going into week 8 now?
Week 8.
No, week 9.
And we're talking about finding an identity.
Yeah. And you have a USC team coming in here who knows who they are. They are kind of in I don't want to say a rebuild mode, but I feel like Lincoln Riley has struggled more than he thought at USC, but they're still damn good.
Yes.
And they know who they are.
Yep.
And they can run the ball and they can throw it way better than we can at a more consistent level.
Jaden Mobb had 15 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. So, I mean, he's been slinging the ball well. Looking at their wins and losses, I mean, they lost by 2 to Illinois. They lost by 10 to Notre Dame. They beat Michigan State by 14. So, 14. So they beat Missouri State, Georgia Southern, Purdue, and Purdue lost this week. God, do you see how they lost? You see how they lost?
I did not.
Quarterback, they're about at midfield. Quarterback throws it, ball gets tipped back to him. He catches it, goes to run, and fumbles it. It's the ultimate Purdue way to lose on 1st and 10 there. It's like, why even catch it? Just knock the ball down. Michigan. I
don't know why people do that. Actually,
what,
like a quarterback? Why wouldn't you? Yeah, why wouldn't you just bat the ball down?
Maybe just like in the moment, they're just thinking like see ball, get ball. Yeah, it's things are moving fast when you're out there. So it might just be one of those. That's why I tried not too much armchair quarterback, because it's like you see the ball in the air and you're like, I need to get this before anybody else does.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But then you just need to grab it and get down. Stop trying to get extra yards. So Illinois, they lost to Michigan. They beat 31 to 13. So that's a big one right there.
That should be a concern for us. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Because
beat the brakes off Michigan.
Because King Miller ran for 158 and a touchdown there, and then Jaden Mobb had a pretty good game. But Michigan, albeit had a bad game that game, but still, it's this is going to be a tough game. But I needed to see something that we could build off of execution wise before that game, and I think we have that. But that's going to be. That's a game, and if we were coming out of a loss to Northwestern going to that USC game, boy howdy, would that have been a rough one.
This is a game. I don't know how much USC is going to be favored by. If I was a betting man, I'd open the line at probably.
We're at home, so they're going to give them maybe 2. They're going to maybe give them 2 or 3 because we're at home. So I would say maybe 4.5, 5.5.
Yeah, I think they're. I don't know. I just don't have a lot of faith right now, being honest. I think they're a lot better than they are.
I'm with you. I don't feel great about that.
And the one game that's a comp game, Michigan,
Well,
They beat the brakes off.
Michigan State.
Oh,
They
yeah,
beat by 14. We beat by 11.
Okay.
So let's get in. What's that?
Oh, I'll say which is pretty much a similar outcome.
Yeah.
11 and 14. I mean, it's not
and that
difference.
Michigan State played us closer than 11, I feel like, too. That's another part of that, too.
Yeah.
That was a sweaty win. Yes, it was, Caleb. Team showed toughness. Emmett was the MVP. Emmett and Kenneth Williams. It's hard to not give Kenneth Williams an MVP.
I think Donovan Jones had a good game, too.
Yes, some great tackling there. Can you back out and come back in? Echoing. Can we talk about our special teams was a saving grace of this season? Yes, we have done that multiple times this year. We have directly won 3 games now, including this one, because of our special teams, without a doubt. And again, shout out to Archie Wilson for some excellent punts. Again,
fuck, man, he's good.
He's really good. That man, because they were like, I forget, I think it was the commentator said that ball might have potentially bounced the end zone had he not fielded that, but you can't run the risk of that because of the way Archie Wilson spins that ball. So I think a lot of times that puts some stress on the returners and the opposing special teams, because they're like, yeah, he knows how to spin this ball, and kind of that was the thing about that style of punters. They put so many different spin on the ball and are able to kind of pin you deep or make it check up or whatever. Even that one that went in the end zone, it checked up, but he just kind of it landed a little too deep in the a little too deep down the field.
Yeah, I thought he had a rough stretch early in the year, but he's been phenomenal since.
He's been excellent, and I think a couple of those games it was pretty windy too. So,
oh yeah,
EJ reminds me of Amir, but will run you over without a doubt. EJ's just a grinder, bro. He just wants to get out there and win the game by any means possible. Like
I've been saying, he is Amir
by any means possible. He just wants to go out there and win the game. But yeah,
he's an NFL back, I think.
I agree.
There's so much versatility with him.
You have to take a shot on a guy like him, on somebody who's going to go out there and just give you his all every single play, and no matter what, he's not going to concede a play. You know, whether it's blown up or not, he's not giving up on that play. But the thing is, he's smart. He knows when to say die at the same time, and that is valuable. Because he doesn't turn the ball over a lot. He doesn't make mistakes trying to do too much, but he knows when he can do something with a play.
100%.
So we got the dub. Yes, sir. Let's go. Appreciate you hopping in here.
Bowling.
DR converting 4 third downs that drive. Yes. Some huge, a couple 3rd and 7s too. So a couple 3rd and longs as well. Way to bounce back from Minnesota. Enjoys his win and get ready for USC without a doubt. What's up, Pit Snipe? Congrats on the win. Jackson, who does Bama got today? Officials had Northwestern plus 7.5. There's no debate. Yeah, a lot of the FBI.
It was fairly obvious to me as well.
It was, dude. It was bad.
I mean, there was bad. I mean, let's be honest too. That holding they called or they didn't call that they should have at the end of the game on Marshall on the fade route. I think it was obvious that it was.
Wait, which one? I'm sorry.
At the end of the game on Marshall.
Oh yeah,
their 4th down. I thought that was an obvious hold.
Yeah, and also, are you talking about the one in the end zone? No. Yeah, that remember that pass in the end zone where it was Dane Key, and I thought they got away with holding us on that one too.
I thought they were pretty handsy actually in general today.
Very much so. All the running backs played well, but Kenneth saved the game. Yes, he did.
Also a running back.
Go Big Red. What's going on, Dennis? Appreciate you hopping in here. That last drive was a confidence builder for Dylan.
Mm-hmm.
It was, but some of the mistakes I think he's making are just kind of in his, I don't want to say in his flaws as a quarterback, but kind of. I just think there's some areas. He's just his interceptions. The most frustrating part is he can make some incredible plays, incredible throws, but his interceptions are egregiously bad.
I think he is very predictable in the RPO game. Like every time they call the RPO with a fade attached to it, he pulls it and throws it every time. And then they do that RPO where they kind of slide him to the left to get the defense moving, and then they always have a crosser coming underneath.
Yep.
And he likes to sidearm it.
Yep.
Or whatever. And that's what happened on the interception. But they also had a big play last week and this week off that exact same action. But to me, like, the RPO is designed like for you to make the read to make the play go, and you're making the wrong read.
Yep.
Pretty consistently.
Exactly. I think it's just a little too often. He's dead set on where he's going to go with the football, and of course, it's a week to week thing. Yeah, they see that on film, and they're like, okay, well, he's not going to look us off. He's going to throw this. If we bring this look, he's going to throw this ball, and I think that's just what they're taking advantage of in a lot of cases. And it's only on a couple plays, so it's not leading to outside of that 1 week, three interceptions plus. But it's still, it seems like they happen when it rains, it pours in those situations, in the worst opportunistic times, so it just amplifies them tenfold, because this one was when everything was going off the rails and the refs were, turning it into their own little show. And that really didn't help things, because it was just one of those, it's like, here we go. And that, again, one of the good things about this is this would have been a game probably last year before last, that we end up losing. So I think that little part of it just shows where the progress of this team is. However, the progress that we're seeing with the execution is where, like, we're seeing the culture move, right? We're seeing this team fight back through adversity. And those are the cultural things that we wanted to see. And I love the culture of this locker room. I love the way things are going with that, and how they don't quit on themselves in those situations. But some of the X's and O's and the execution coaching stuff, that really, really is starting to be a red flag.
And to me, I'm kind of glad that we're winning these close games, because it just shows like it's a step in the process. Like, usually you lose big, lose close, win close, win big. But also, Maryland, Dylan struggled. And today he didn't struggle, but he had a critical interception, critical point in the game. The way he comes back and rebounds, wins, leads a game-winning drive against Maryland, and today. I think it's big for his confidence. But also, Nebraska beat Cincinnati, one-score game.
Yep.
We beat Michigan State. It wasn't a one-score game, but it was one-score game late.
Yep.
Same thing with Maryland, one-score win. And then today,
Northwestern. That's 4.
4 of your 6 wins are one scores.
Yep.
And so it helps with that stigma.
It does.
That you can't win.
It does. It like I said, it points to that culture shift of this team not giving up on themselves. And this isn't a team that's like, oh, we're in a one-score game. Let's put our heads down. Oh man, we're going to lose this game. It's a team that believes they're going to win in one-score games now. But against USC, we have to execute better for it to be a one-score game. Game. Yeah. So that's part of the problem. Is it getting there? Can we talk about third down routes? We're 2 yards short of the sticks. Almost, yeah, we talked about that early. Depending on the players getting the last 2 yards. Yes. And another thing, I tweeted this out, but I was like, I felt like we needed to get 2 yards beyond the sticks to even get the first down mark.
Yeah.
At the time. But yeah, that's something that does need to be addressed. And I think they may have addressed that, because you talked about it on that last drive. They were getting depth. So we'll see if hopefully that doesn't continue in this next week. Hopefully it's one of those things that kind of they can break down on the film, and I'm sure they will point to that. I'm sure the coaches will see that, point to that, and hopefully the receivers can just have a little bit more awareness of where those sticks are. I don't know if it's because like they think like I'm going to be able to, maybe if I cut this a little shorter, I'm going to be able to make the catch and be able to cut up field, and they just have a little bit too confidence in themselves of being able to get, break that one tackle and be able to make it. Because that's also a case it could be too. They may think like, if I run this a little bit more shallow, then I'm going to give myself a little bit more space to get upfield and get some extra yards. But just get that depth, get there and get out and make that catch and just get the first down. Yeah. University or someone with some money should look into suing the Big Ten for match fixing. It was pretty obvious today. I was about to show up to Big Ten headquarters. Never mind.
If you sue the Big Ten, just look how bad they're going to treat you afterwards. Like after we sued the Big Ten during COVID,
they can't treat us any worse, though.
Yeah.
Let's see. But it was egregiously bad.
It was
And
bad.
so
Yeah.
it was
But we
terrible.
need that money for Mayo.
The refs you suck chant in the stadium was priceless. Yes. They deserved every bit of that they got. How many sacks did we get up? I think it was the one. I think it
Just
was
the
one,
one,
right? Yeah. And not a ton of pressures, all things considered, not a ton of pressures. So that was really, really good to see. Really, the officials made a whole bunch of bad calls against Nebraska. Everyone wants to talk about the last one that wasn't called on us. Yeah, it's pretty sad when they bring out the rules expert or whatever to talk about like, oh yeah, they got away with one there. It's like, you got to be kidding me, because they were defending, the commentary team was defending all the other calls. They're like, oh
Oh
yeah,
my
but
gosh.
that red marker is not official. It's way off. On that
And
first down catch.
the color commentator's comment at the end was, "Oh, it evened out in the end." And I'm like, "The hell it didn't." It's like they got 14 points off of shitty officiating.
Evened out my happy ass.
Yeah.
Maybe
The red marker is not the official marker. We're not even worried about the red marker, man. We're worried about the ball being caught at the 24-yard
a
line and the first
yard,
down
a
marker being at
whole
the
yard,
25.
a whole yard. We could. He acts like we didn't have the marker right there on the sideline. Like the catch happened a yard from the actual marker. We're not looking at the red line. We can look at the marker, dude. If it was off by an inch. That was a yard short when he actually corralled that catch.
Yeah,
Ridiculous.
it was crazy.
Absolutely ridiculous.
What's crazy is they actually called it right and then they adjusted it
flipped
after it. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And then
they adjusted it after.
what was that one call where we got them to jump on the false start?
It was the technical term was god dang it. I've tweeted something out about it.
Let me go to your Twitter real quick.
Oh, it was a D's nuts tweet.
Yeah, but the first word was
Uh,
the right one. So
was it
abrupt movement.
Abrupt movement, yeah. And I was like, abrupt
Even because when that happened, I was clapping and I was walking into my kitchen to get a handful of some Gardetto rye chips, because I was eating some Gardettos. And next thing I know, the penalty was called on us. And I was like, abrupt movement. I don't think I've ever heard that call ever.
It's like the other call they have when they call, like when a defensive team claps or something. They call it disconcerting signals.
I've heard that one a few times though, but like this one, I thought that was for sure on them. 100%. I was no doubt in my mind that was on them.
You know what's crazy is I didn't really pay attention to the little movements Nebraska's D-line was doing pre-snap until after that penalty. And then I noticed that they, especially the defensive tackles, do that movement constantly right before the snap.
Yep.
And it was never called outside of that one time.
Outside of that one. Nope. Reminder, the USC game is a blackout. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I'll be blacked out if we get destroyed.
They'll be fired up for that one. Anything could happen in the Big Ten. We're both eligible and could win more than one more game. Well, true. Yeah. Well, that's obvious. Yeah. Thanks, Rick. There's supposed to be bowl. Oh, we were bowl eligible and can win more than one game. Okay. Got it. Why can't we put teams away? We had an opportunity to, but again, I hate doing
this. Gotta win close. Just consistently win. That's all we got to do.
But I hate doing this. We were putting them away, and if we get that stop there, what was it? 21-6.
21-6, 4th and 3. It was probably it would have been our ball at like the 35.
And we got the stop. I think the game's put away right there. In my personal opinion, I think the game's put away right there. So, my son was there. There was a lot of bad calls and no calls. Yes, 100%. Dylan didn't clock Fitzgerald at all on that interception, neither before nor after the snap. Now, I ain't sure how many reads Dylan can make pre-snap, but I think that Fitz should have been one. Yeah. He should not have thrown that at all. Passing on 4th and 1 with Emmett in the backfield is just dumb. 100% agreed. Where was this running game last week? Well, they abandoned it, clearly.
They abandoned it.
Yep. Dana even said he thought we could push the ball down the field. Barney pre-snap motion helped in the run game a lot. We got to get a lot more of that pre-snap motion going, because not only does it, we know what it does to the confusion of the defense, moving guys around. You're able to check, see if a guy's a man, zone, whatever. Not only that, though, you get their defenders running more. If you want to tire out a defense, that's hidden yards that you're making them run. motioning guys back across the field, you're making their secondary run, and that's extra yards that they're having to run around this field. So if you want to wear a defense out, like motion is very important. If you want to, go to their best cornerback in motion, whoever they got that guy on, motion him across the field all day. If they got him manned up or whatever, and get him running and wear him out, pre-snap motion helps so many different things, and we don't use it enough. On any down and short yardage, just give the ball to EJ. No need to get cute. 100%. Watch the Minnesota game. There was little, if any, pre-snap motion. Yes. I was chilling. Yeah, you were. I saw your comment on there. So those refs were ridiculous. They were. I'm glad we won, or I would have been in here getting banned from YouTube for my language. Yeah, man. I thought I was about to get banned on Twitter for mine. BJ finishes as the number 1 Big Ten running back. Does he leave for the draft? I think it just depends on the draft grade. If he sees if he sees an opportunity for himself to gain some more spots, I just think it depends on where he finishes in terms of his draft grade. If he's looking like a 6th, 7th round pick, maybe comes back and tries to improve his draft stock. I think he has enough confidence to be a guy that can come back to try to improve his draft stock.
I think he's an NFL back. I don't think he's like a 1st, 2nd, or 3rd round back.
Definitely not a 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, but I think he can improve from maybe a 6th to 7th rounder to like a 4th or 5th because of the many things that he can do. Like a Woody Marks. I think Woody Marks got drafted in the 4th round last year. And so like I do think he's somebody who, but I do think he's somebody who can see himself going 4th or 5th, but he's definitely not like a NFL workhorse back that's going to be able to come in and be able to get you, he's not going to be that guy. They're going to try to come in and have them change their trajectory of their franchise for sure. Mm-hmm. But definitely somebody that is going to be one of those guys in fantasy that everybody's like, I think this is a sleeper,
Yep.
That's how I think. Sorry, I don't want to jinx it. That'd be a hell of a spot for his draft stock. Yes. Go Big F and Red. Go Big Red, man. Appreciate you hopping in here. If you haven't already, please drop a like on the stream if you like what we're doing here. It really, really helps us out. Maybe Mr. Mitch Jam would be nice to have him for one more year. Yes, it would. Iowa's kind of scary. Screw Iowa, bro.
Oh, don't say that.
Screw Iowa, bro.
Our team just like this.
Mike Piazza. Oh, Mike Pizza. Like Mike Piazza.
Mike Piazza. That's a weird name to bring up in a football show.
I didn't even realize his name was Mike Pizza there. They be putting belt to ass against Minnesota right now. And it just started. Oh wait, are they playing?
You lied to me.
Oh wait, they're playing them right now. I didn't realize that game kicked already. Let me check.
It's 17-0 at the end of the first quarter.
Boy, oh boy.
Okay, we're in trouble.
All right, let's go back to this comment. Yeah, Mike Pizza's onto something here. Mike Pizza's onto something here. So this USC game becomes even more important now because we gotta come out and we gotta string together some momentum because Iowa's getting momentum.
Yeah, they're peaking right now.
They are. They're finding something. I don't know what it is, but they come off and they shut out Minnesota. Wisconsin. They shut out Wisconsin. Did they shut Wisconsin out? I think they Wisconsin
after got shut out against Iowa, then Ohio State, and then they play Oregon this week.
Yeah, so they barely lost to Indiana. Let me pull up there. Hold on, let me pull up their.
They might be grooving right now.
Okay, so here it is. So they beat Rutgers. They lost Indiana 20-15, Wisconsin 37-0, beat Penn State by a point, and now they're up 17-0 on Minnesota. So
and they got Oregon coming to town next week.
They got Oregon and USC. So it'll be interesting to see kind of the matchup there. USC, how we play them versus how Iowa plays them. But yeah, Mike Pizza, appreciate you bringing that up because I was not paying attention to that game just yet. I was wait till after. But yeah, 17-0. They were bullying Minnesota, who bullied us. So that is a scary game all of a sudden.
Yeah, that's terrifying actually.
Looking forward to the rest of our season before we go ahead and kind of slide out of here. The USC game, we're not feeling a ton of confidence in that one. I hate to say this, but I might be predicting a loss in that one.
Oh, I'm definitely predicting a loss on that one.
Yeah, I think I am too. UCLA. UCLA does not look good this week against Indiana, but it is Indiana. But I think UCLA is a game that Nebraska should win. Penn State is a very interesting
game. The game is.
Penn State is a very interesting game. because they don't have a coach, but they're a very talented team. So you do have that to contend with Penn State. Penn State, that's the reason why Penn State scares me, is just because they're still so talented. But of course, their coaching situation right now is what it is. And then you have Iowa.
They played this week.
Who, Penn State?
Yeah.
Check here. That's a good question. Oh, Ohio State.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah, because they've lost 4 straight.
That's next week. They're on a bye.
Oh, yeah, November 1st. That's right. We got to look at the dates. So yeah, but Penn State's lost 4 in a row since James Franklin. But that's a very talented team. That's the only thing that scares me about them. But Nebraska's still right on track to kind of what we predicted with our predictions going into the season. And so we're where we want to be, bowl eligible, 6-2, and a lot of things that we can shake our head at, and a lot of things execution wise that are still down. But I think the biggest thing is this team is finding a way to win. And that does mean something. At the end of the day, regardless of how it happens, the team's finding a way to win. And sometimes in the Big Ten, especially, that's all you got to do is find a way to win. So if this team can build off of this, use that identity, not only offensively, but defensively, because there was more physicality that I saw from this defense. They were playing with an extra edge that I didn't see last week. They were playing with their heads down, hands on their hips last week. I didn't see that as much this week. I do think there's some stuff we could build off of. And if we can come out here and pull an upset against USC, I'm assuming we're going to be the underdog. If we can come out and pull an upset against USC, then I think we're in good shape. But this USC game gets really, 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 really interesting now. So
this is a tough 2-week stretch here. You got USC coming to town, then you go to UCLA, but you get the bye week. So you get the bye week before you go to Penn State, and then you wrap up with Iowa. This is a very pivotal month for Nebraska. This is where Bo Pelini made his money.
Yes. Yep. And Matt Rule can shut everybody up by how he handles this last little bit. And by next week, I think he has the opportunity to shut a lot of people up next week. And I think the team will be ready. I do. I think this team will be fired up and ready to go for that game. I think the atmosphere is really going to be electric for this game. But some of the mistakes that Nebraska's made in previous weeks have taken the crowd out of the game. We cannot afford to have the crowd taken out of this USC game. This has to be a game that we come out and we have to establish what we do well. Get physical with the run game, get physical defensively. And there's no way around that. You can't afford to get cute against USC. Come out, feed off of that crowd, and be physical, and just come out and make them play to your style. I think that's the big thing, is make them play to your style, make them play into what you want to do. But we got to take what we did this week, improve some of the execution, improve some of the small details, and put a better version on the field if we want to win that game.
This is a game where it has to be like Colorado last year. You got a night game. You got a team coming in to your house.
Yep.
The crowd has alcohol now, so it should be extra crazy. Mm-hmm. You got the blackout. You got isn't it the alternate uniform game too?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's little things like that, but and I don't believe you play better or worse based on a uniform, but
I think the crowd gets into it.
Yes,
because they're matching team. Yeah.
Yeah. There's just a lot where this game can be changed by the crowd noise, false starts, all sorts of different variables that the crowd can induce penalties. This is a game where you have to come out hot too. You can't afford to come out slow because USC is not going to give a shit, honestly.
They're going to
come in there and try and they're going to try and set the tone and shut your crowd up quick.
They might drop 60 on Minnesota. Holy smokes. Did they score again? Hold on.
Yeah, that's what I'm checking now.
Before we go out, let's just check that one more time. Let me know if you get it up, because now I'm curious.
You're up 24-0.
Yikes.
The second quarter just started.
Well, Iowa.
This is crazy.
Iowa's a tough game all of a sudden. So,
well, here's their scoring summary. 2-yard touchdown rush, 34-yard field goal. pick six, and then a 29-yard touchdown pass.
Against Iowa, it's going to be minimizing damage.
Yeah.
We can't turn the ball over. We got to minimize. We need to run the ball 100 times that game. So, yeah. But all right. Well, I appreciate everybody tuning in. If you haven't yet, please drop a like on the stream. Let us know how you like it. Brian, anything else before we go ahead and wrap up here?
I think I have to go watch Iowa. I hate to say that, but
yeah, we're gonna go check that Iowa game out a little bit. So thank you again, everybody, for tuning in. Tuesday at 6 p.m. Central, we will be here live to recap this game a little bit, get you ready for the USC game. I might try to get I know a couple of USC guys. I might try to get them on this week to give us a little bit more of a breakdown on USC. So y'all be ready for that coming up on Tuesday. And other than that, Nebraska's bowl eligible, coming off a win. So feel a lot better coming off a win than a loss. You know, I feel a lot better blaming the officials and coming out of this, you know, with some question marks, but off of a win nonetheless. Much rather learn from a win than a loss. So again, thank you everybody as always for tuning into the show. We appreciate y'all. And with that being said, we will see y'all in the next video. Peace.